Welcome back, Portugal Junkies.
Hello.
We're so happy to have you back.
Absolutely. Always.
We're having wine this time.
Yes.
We always threatened
thank
you.
the world.
We threatened you to have our next podcast with wine instead of coffee. So we're back to it. Cheers, babe.
Cheers.
Ding.
I think that's a G minor.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
So this week we were thinking that we would, in our last few weeks of Porto theme that we've been doing, talk a little bit about highs and lows. So what are just to get us started, because, we like to tell stories.
Bit of a story, yes.
So what are some highs and lows this week?
Well, I think lows this week probably started maybe 3 or so days ago. But definitely we've experienced it in Porto yesterday and absolutely today. And that is the excessive amount of wildfires. There's over sort of 120 wildfires throughout Portugal. The one that is closest to us is about 20 miles southeast of where we are, in a beautiful, beautiful area, but I don't know what it's going to look like after this.
I think I saw that it was over 9,000 acres have already been burned.
Yeah. I mean, I think,
not in just that area.
No, but I think overall, I think it's something like 27 square miles in total area. And it's just something that you hear about these things happening, but unless or until you experience them, they're like, it's just a news feed. But this morning I woke up and was about to take the dog out, and I looked outside, and it's sort of all this golden hue. It's almost like one of the filters that I use for photography, and it has that hue about it, and it's just the ash cloud.
Vintage.
Yeah, vintage, and it's just this ash and thick smog, and you open a window and you can taste it. You can taste the smoke.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. And again, we're in, I would say, proper safety in terms of being that far away from one and not that close enough to that much greenery. But for everybody else out there, it's horrendous.
So sad.
Absolutely horrendous.
And you're right about how, we've heard about this before we moved here. When you're researching a place, it's like moving to Florida and not researching like what hurricanes are. So it's interesting because I grew up on the East Coast in North Carolina. We dealt with hurricanes, we dealt with tornadoes. This one comes from the UK, and he's like, I've never really dealt with either of those things.
No, you don't get forest fires, you don't get hurricanes, tornadoes, and things. You get a lot of rain. For sure.
But then, you come to a place like Portugal, and this is normal now. The seasons, especially being so hot and dry, especially in the Algarve. In a lot of cases, that's what we've heard. But apparently, the North is not immune.
Definitely not immune to it.
It's
so that's a real sort of sad low in the sense of what we see and experience and listen to and watch on the TV. It's one of those realities of life. Yeah,
and I immediately start thinking, who do we donate to?
What can we do?
And I
did read that fight fire, but
I did read that you can make certain donations of items to the fire departments here. So maybe when you're gone,
I think that's a great thing. Bottled water, energy bars. Those are the sorts of things that I've read.
Yeah.
It's a little thing, but I think it goes a long way just to showing support, and also an actual, need.
Yeah, and I think I know that you guys have heard us many times talk about how we can give back to this lovely country that we've moved to. Absolutely. And when things like this happen, yes, it affects us, but it's really about how we as immigrants can do more than we are in terms of giving back. So
for sure.
We'll see how we can do that.
So fingers crossed for everybody, and, best wishes and safeties.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about the low of the week and depressed you guys.
Yeah.
The high of the week. Oh my God. I love this high of the week. So was it Thursday? I think it was Thursday. A friend of mine, a theater friend from Charlotte, sent me a message and was like, "We're in Porto." And I was like, "What?" And
why didn't we get a heads up?
They had been walking some of the Camino, which is fascinating to me. We have met many, many people over wine and drinks and things like that who have walked some of the Camino or all of the Camino. We've also interacted with Camino travelers in places that we've been traveling, like Viana de Castelo. Mm-hmm. We met that one traveler.
Yeah, and even through Porto.
Yes, because it goes right through Porto.
Yeah.
So anyway, they were here doing some of that, but they were kind of ending their trip in Porto. And so I was just super thrilled. Like, I was just so excited. And Stephanie and George came over on Saturday. Hi, guys. Shout out. And we had the best time. We had local Portugal sheep's cheese and presunto and wine, and we literally sat at the kitchen bar and talk. And it was just like home came to us.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
It's lovely when it happens like that.
And it was so unexpected, and it was just so lovely to see somebody from home and hug them and realize that they're not that far away, right? And I just want to kick myself because we didn't even take a picture. We were talking so much. Dang it. They had to be somewhere by 7 and literally looked up and the time was gone. And I was so sad because I was like, oh, we could have sat here and talked all night. Yeah. And I just feel like sometimes those impromptu visits or things that you didn't know would fill up your soul as much as it does. It did. Yeah. It totally did. So Absolutely. Thank you guys for coming and reaching out to us. And I just love it. Thank you so much. I told him when you guys left, I said, I feel like I've been restored. And then after that, I talked to my parents for
an hour.
I don't know, which never happens. Like on video, we are never on the phone for an hour, and it was just fun. We were all on the phone. My sister was on there too, and it was just it was like we were in the living room. You know? And so I went to bed Saturday night very
rejuvenated.
Yeah, my cup was full. My cup runneth over.
Yeah.
So
unlike the wine.
It was a good high. Yeah, we had plenty of wine. It was a good time.
Okay.
Well, so this is what we thought we would talk about.
Segue in.
Yeah. We would talk about today. The last couple of episodes, we've really been talking a lot about Porto because the last day is coming. We are moving October 1st. Yep. And so I feel like I've kind of been in a reminiscent mood about this because, this has been our first stop and hopefully the first of many different stops. We don't know where we're going to end up.
Nope.
But Porto has been so good to us for 10 months and we've really gotten to know the city and its people. And I feel like I've been kind of reflective for the past couple of weeks, as excited as I am about moving to Tavira, and I am, believe me.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to take this time and really think about
what am I going to miss? I don't want to rush it.
No.
I'm ready for it, but I don't want to rush to do it, if that makes sense. I still want to make sure that we sort of eke out as much enjoyment here as we can.
And we have been working our way through our Porto bucket list.
Yes, it'll be very.
But what do you think, babe, are the some of the highs and lows of our first 10 months here in Porto?
I think.
And by the way, I call them highs and lows.
Okay.
Some people call them peaks and pits. But what do you call them?
Peaks and troughs.
Peaks and troughs.
I was thinking, I could say something really rude, but I won't.
Great. Well, that was a joke we'll never hear. Anyway.
You never know.
Highs and lows. What do you think of?
I think from a highs point of view, again, when we first set out to come here, it was the unknown. It was the unknown culture, the unknown language, the unknown where are we going to be. And I think one of the biggest highs was learning about what I wasn't sure of. And even though I've moved around a little bit, coming here I think has been one of the biggest highs, is coming into the city and having that city life experience where you can meet all sorts of people from all sorts of countries. But specifically, as we've started to build up a core of people that we know that are Portuguese, that are generally speaking Porto Portuguese, I think the culture and the people firsthand has been a real high for me.
Yeah, I think being in the biggest, let me take this back. I think being in the second biggest city in the country, like, enabled us to meet so many people and experience the culture in a different way than if we had started in Tavira, for instance, with 25,000 people. Right. Most of those being a lot of immigrants and not traditional Portuguese or from Portugal. There is
certainly a higher per capita, if you think that way, of immigrants.
I think that our choice to come here, and it was it was by design. We made this choice because we thought that living in the second biggest city with the kind of culture that Porto has, that would be a better introduction to us. And I think that we accomplished that.
I think for sure. And, again, as you say, I think if we'd gone to a smaller city, the experience would have been fantastic. I'm certain of that. But I don't know that it would have delivered in the way that I've felt that Porto has delivered.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
What are some lows?
Yeah. So go on then. Give me a low for you.
I think a low for me was not really thinking through the timing of when we moved here.
Okay.
I take that back.
Go back to several different episodes.
Well, we did think about it. We just didn't listen to ourselves.
Right.
How about that? We were so eager to get here. We were delayed with our visa more so than we thought. And so our plan was, have our interview in September and move over here by November 1st. Mm-hmm. And that just didn't happen. And we ended up coming over December 1st without our visas and then had to truck back and forth, which you guys have heard about before. But we show up on Porto's doorstep in the middle of winter season. And I think that's just a challenging place to start in terms of the weather patterns in northern Portugal.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it a million times, so I'm sure you guys were like, stop talking about how much it rains there, Mayor. But it's true. Like, it's one of the reasons why we are moving to Tavira.
Yeah.
It's probably the number one reason we're moving. And so if I could go back, and I'm not a big fan of regrets, but I do think we might have had an easier transition.
Oh, the transition would have been far, far easier in a more temperate climate.
Let's say it was the end of January and we moved over here. It would be a couple of weeks maybe of a little cold and a little bit rainy, but it wouldn't have been every day.
We'd have got the tail end of stuff, but not the lashing of everything.
Yeah. So I feel like, again, if you're contemplating that and you're thinking about moving to Portugal and you're also considering somewhere north of Lisbon, consider that in your plans. And I know sometimes you can't really, like, you're chasing your tail with your timeline.
Yeah,
you can have your timeline, but immigration is going to be the full determination of what your timeline is going to be.
Without doubt.
But I do kind of wish that wasn't our experience, but at the same time, it can be a high. I feel like I'm in a job interview where I'm taking my weaknesses and I'm flipping them over to strengths.
Right, okay.
Because it was a low.
Yeah.
But I also think that we learned a lot through those first few weeks. We were forced to learn a lot about ourselves because all the shit was peeled back and we were uncomfortable, we were worried, we were unsure, because we're like, gosh, did we make the wrong choice about this place? Because it's literally raining every day.
Yeah.
And I just think it forced us to learn faster than maybe we had to have if we had moved somewhere else.
Yeah. But I think as well, leaning into that low is, the other low, and we've said it before about picking the apartment that we picked.
Yeah.
Now, we were under some level of a gun in terms of timing.
Choosing, yeah.
And what we wanted to make sure that we had something that when we landed gave us some element of creature comfort. And we paid for that, literally, both financially and every other way. So I think that was another low. Although I don't regret what we did, I don't think it delivered as much as it should have done.
Right.
in
we
that
could
way.
have made a better
Because
choice.
as soon as we could, we got out of there.
Yeah.
So that tells me that, you know, that was a low.
Yeah.
Even though there were some benefits out of it, there was definitely more negatives.
Yeah.
So my experience of that is choose wisely. You know, and if you're second guessing yourself, then something's nibbling away at you, and you know you best.
I also think that a lot of that has to do with lack of patience. You and I both, I'm more impatient than he is, but I think when we decide that we want something, we want it right now, and we want it because we're confident in what we've chosen, and so we're just ready for the next thing to start right now.
Yep.
And sometimes, especially with this situation, I think that we were so eager to just get things going that we could have made better decisions. But again, all of this is in hindsight.
Yep.
And I think it's really easy to sit here and say that, but you know, I'm just trying to like give perspective to others out there who are thinking about this and really considering, you know, it's the number one thing I'm sure people are like, where do I live? If I decide I want to go to Portugal, like, where do I go that is going to be my place?
You see it in the forums. You know, people are saying, oh, we're going to be emigrating soon and we don't know where we want to be. Can anybody suggest where we should go? And it's just like, my goodness, that is just too wide a question.
Yeah.
You know, it's you can't be told where you need to be.
No, you can't, but you can narrow some things down and you can eliminate some things immediately.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I feel like I wouldn't have chosen a different place for our first place. But I've also learned a lot here about what I really want, how I like to enjoy life, and what things, you know, Porto delivers on for us in those capacities and what it doesn't. So, I think that I don't like talking in regrets. I really don't. But I do think that, you know, highs and lows and talking about those things could help somebody else.
Yeah.
You know,
there were definitely better decisions that could have been made in hindsight. And that's a wonderful thing. However,
I'll also say this. Don't come over here like with this idea in your head that the place that you choose is the end all be all for you and that it's a once and done thing. Be open to saying, okay, well, we experienced this and I loved it, but we know that somewhere else could help us achieve something else that we're trying to do and we could move there.
I do think, though, that if you're buying something here,
I would
straight
rent
off
first.
the bat, then you've got to be so certain.
I would totally rent first before I bought anything.
Without a doubt.
That's just me, though, because of our experience.
I don't think that's any different to even if you move within the US. You know, we've known people as realtors that move from one place to another, sight unseen, or they've gone and seen it, whatever, and it's still a regret.
Yeah.
You know, and that's within the country, within the language, within all the bureaucracy that you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, people still nose it up.
Nose it up.
Nose it up.
Can you spell that?
THAT. Nose. No, NA something or other. It's an expression. It means to.
For those only listening, I am rolling my eyes big time at that dad joke. Moving on. I also think one of our biggest highs, and we talked about this a little bit, is just getting to see this country and the culture firsthand from Porto. So when I say that, I mean not just within Porto City, but like all the places that we were able to visit because Porto was our hub.
Yeah.
And you're sitting here with a major train station and accessibility to so many day trips to go see different facets of Portuguese culture and this countryside. Yeah. And so let's think about it. How many places have we gone? We've gone to Viana do Castelo, which we both said was our favorite this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We've been to Guimarães. We went this weekend.
So many.
That's the birthplace of Portugal. We went to Braga.
Aveiro.
We've been to Aveiro multiple times. We love Aveiro. Where else?
Lisbon.
Obviously Lisbon.
Cascais.
Yep.
Central.
Those are not day trips. I'm talking about from Porto, being able to just hop away for a day, go experience.
Look, I think the thing is that we've done several, but it's unfortunate that I think there was definitely an opportunity to do more if we had wanted to. I think if we'd wanted to stretch a little bit further into the north or into the central of the country. But I don't know. I think that having done what we've done, I've really enjoyed the places we've seen.
Yeah. And I like that we balanced it with seeing this city because it's bigger than people think.
Yes, definitely.
I love being able to take our long walks and literally go, oh yeah, we've been there. And you can see, like literally look at the city when you're walking along the river and go, we've been there. Oh yeah, that's that and that. We've done all of these things within the city. And we've probably only scratched the surface of 30% of the city. I don't know. Maybe not even that.
But again, it's what do you want it to be? What do you want the experience?
You got to remember, we're living here. It's not just like we're tourists. We live here. We do normal things here.
And it's like when you live somewhere, it doesn't matter where it is. When you live somewhere, you tend to kind of ignore your space and travel like away, outside of the country or to a different state or whatever.
You walk out the side,
because you want to go and see the great big outdoors and things.
Right.
But all the neighbourhoods have definitely have different feels.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
And I think that should be another thing. I mean, we haven't got a specific write up about each of the neighbourhoods, but there's stuff out there where you can go and get a feeling of, is this more kid friendly or is this more sort of younger, artsy friendly? And so you get those differences. I would encourage people to definitely do that sort of level of research.
Yeah.
Because it's important.
Yeah.
So.
What are some more lows? Anything I got one. What do you have?
Okay. For me, I have, so having travelled around a little bit, different countries and everything else, I think one of the biggest things that have been disappointed in myself about is not being so engaged or disciplined in the language.
Oh my God, that was mine. I was waiting to see where you were going.
Tough. I've got that one. You have to think of another.
It's so true, though.
Yeah, and there's still time. Basically,
of course.
We're not stepping out of this country, so we've still got to. And if anything, I think that being in Tavira and trying to become more of a community, because the town is that much smaller, I'm hoping that we are forced into those day-to-day conversations with shop owners and restaurants and places like that.
I think it's going to be even easier for us not to. I think we're going to have to be more disciplined.
Yeah, we are, for sure. But as I'm saying is that it's a shame that I haven't officially, I speak for myself.
You can speak for me too.
That we haven't, done what we said we would do. So that's a bit of a low.
Yeah, and I think that we haven't done what we intended, which is learn more of the Portuguese language officially, like in a class or doing our online class that we have. But I think that we haven't done that because we haven't had to.
Right.
And that's the truth. I'm not proud of it, but it is real life. I think people are intimidated to even come here because they think, oh my God, I don't know any Portuguese. Let me tell you, unless you are like in some of the most rural villages, the people here know English and they know Portuguese and they often know French and German and Italian. Let's just be honest. They are much more progressed than we are as Americans to know multiple languages. And so I'm appreciative of that because it enables my experience to be very easy.
Yeah.
But it does make it really easy to not have to lean into that discipline of learning the language the way we intended. But if we ever decide that we are going to have citizenship, we're going to have to pass a test.
Pass that test.
Right. And so we're just going to have to figure that out. We're just going to have to figure out what works for us. And maybe we have different paths because maybe you learn differently than I do.
Yeah.
I still think we need to, I think our online course is a good place to start. But, my biggest pet peeve is like, don't teach me a bunch of crap that I'll never use.
Yes.
Like, as an immigrant here who's literally just trying to get by, right? I need conversational Portuguese that I would use on a daily basis, not how do you say olive tree? Like, I'm probably not going to use that very often, right? I just need conversational, and I feel like we've learned a lot of that from our contacts and making friends here.
Yeah.
So we've done okay. We've never hit a barrier, but I will say that
the other week.
It is a low.
It's never been a problem.
I wish that we had done more.
So that's a
but we're
a big
still in progress. Whatever.
Yeah. So
we're still in progress. But what we have done well, which is a high, is walking our asses everywhere and having more healthy behaviors here than we ever did. Like, I would say we used to be runners. So we're going to ignore that fact because that was a long time ago. But honestly, the most consistent we ever were with walking or some sort of like activity regimen was during COVID.
Yes. Yeah.
We would literally make ourselves, it was the only time we could really be out. And so we would make ourselves go a good hour at least every day. It was just every day, every morning we would be doing that. And I feel like here we've kind of gotten in that groove too. And I think for the past few weeks, we've been even more committed to like intentional walking, not like, oh, we got to go to the store or, oh, we're going to go walk to dinner.
Let's go and walk around let's go to walk to this.
For activity's sake. And then all the other stuff is extra because, you know, we have to do that too. But that and just, I feel like we do eat healthier here as I guzzle my glass of wine. But we do.
But that's balance.
We do eat healthier here. I would say by nature of the foods here, what we are actually consuming is better for us.
Yeah.
Our choices are better too, though. You know, like we're eating less meat, not by design, but we just are. We're just eating
I think certainly in the last little while, it is by design.
Except for all the Portuguese bread.
Well, you know, that's something, that's a you thing for sure.
It is a trigger food. I'm not even kidding you. Their bread is so freaking amazing.
It is good.
And even people who have like allergy sensitivities come over here to Europe and they try the breads here and it doesn't bother them at all. I wonder why.
I wonder. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is, but I know that it's good.
I know that it's freaking delicious.
So give me another low.
Another low. I don't know that I have another low. No? I think those are the main ones for me. Do you have other lows?
No.
I mean,
that's why I was trying to get you to hit on another one.
I mean, no, it's just really like, because that borders on the line of like regrets, and I really don't
I want to make sure that I don't step into that.
But there are always going to be things where you wish you had done or you wish you hadn't done.
No, but that's what I said. You know, I wish we had gone to more places, potentially, but I'm not that, I don't know what the word is, but I'm very happy with the places that we have explored and the places we have experienced.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I have a low. I just have one come to me. And this is a disclaimer because this only responds to certain trolls online, I'll say. But one of my lows has been realizing personally, sometimes, and again, not in person, not with the people who we interact with on a daily basis, but on the keyboard warriors behind their computers ready to come out and get you, is being an immigrant here. And I'm not saying that in general. I'm proud to be an immigrant. I'm trying my best to be so respectful of this culture and this country because we had no intentions of coming here to change it. We came here because we loved it.
Right.
But I do know that some people in this country, just like every other country, just like literally in the U.S. right now, that they don't give a crap who we are. They don't want to see us here. And it's been difficult sometimes because you realize that there are going to be people out there who feel this way. We can't ignore it. I mean, when you ask me, are you welcomed? My answer is going to be yes, because we have not experienced anything negative except for people online.
That's right. But I think as well, that goes to the heart of who that person is.
True.
If you want to behave like a complete dickhead, then you're going to get treated like you are a complete dickhead.
Yeah.
If you want to behave with respect and humor and all of the good stuff, people are going to engage with you. People are going to enjoy your time and company and, recognize you when you walk back into the restaurant the third time, fourth time round, because that's what they want.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm clear. My low here is experiencing some of that disdain from some people, because in their head, every person who comes here that is not from here is just contributing to the problems that the country, that exists in the country, specifically gentrification and housing costs and all of those things, which absolutely exist.
Yep.
I have a different empathy now. And I've always had the empathy, but it's a different empathy now for immigrants in the U.S. because of my experience here. And I haven't even really I wouldn't even say I've had a negative experience yet, right? I want to be honest that there are some online trolls who come after us all the time because we've made ourselves pretty public about what we've done, and we've come here from the U.S. and we want to tell about our lives. And it is true. We are contributing to some of the problems that are happening in Portugal.
Yeah.
The problem that I have with it is that I feel like it's misplaced.
Yeah,
the
because
blame is misplaced.
We're not in control of whether an apartment costs €1,000 or €2,500. That is down to the landlord. Now, the landlord is going to be...
And they're not regulated, really.
Right, but they're going to come from a sort of... not necessarily capitalist, but kind of... It is a capitalist kind of way. I want to get the most amount of money that I can. And if somebody's willing to pay that, then, there's that.
The thing is, though, is that immigrants here are being blamed for those things, just like immigrants in the U.S. are blamed for things that really have nothing to do with them. That's the truth. And so I just have a different perspective, even more empathetic than I used to, because we have become the immigrant. You had already become the immigrant, right? And again, I'm framing this as a low, but I don't know if I really put it in that bucket, because I am just learning, right? It's like you're learning about a culture. You're learning about what people really think about the societal things that are going on, and not just in your own bubble of like, this is a great place. Look at this great weather, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's like, wine is €3. €3 to them might be a lot. And so I have to gut check myself sometimes because of those things.
Yeah.
Our experiences coming from the U.S. to here have been extremely different in terms of affordability. But that doesn't mean that our life is affordable to the Portuguese.
No.
And so I get it. Like I do. I get it why some of them have disdain for the situation. That makes me, I know, but they would argue that, well, you're just contributing to it.
But you're also contributing to the infrastructure. You're contributing to the taxes. You're contributing to all of the rest of the
You're trying to get health insurance private so that you're not putting more of a burden on the public system. And not everybody immigrant does that, and I get it. I'm not saying you should. That is just something we've chosen, because just like our friend Heather, who was interviewed here a couple weeks ago, her entire TikTok is called Mindful Migrant. You should go check it out. It's all about being mindful as an immigrant coming into somebody's country, and what is appropriate and what is not in terms of cultural appropriation, gentrification, all of those things that they do exist. We would be silly to try to battle that it doesn't exist. It's just, I try to figure out what we can do to give back, to be, I don't know the right word.
It's something we've always done.
thankful or grateful in some way, and figure out how to do that and give back to the community that has really welcomed us. Yeah. And I know that all of that might not seem very welcoming, but again, I go back to, it's the handful of people on online forums who have something to say about what we've chosen to do. Can't make everybody happy, but it is an experience that has opened my eyes in a different way as an immigrant here.
Absolutely. And on that note, should we try and find a high to finish it with?
What's your ultimate high?
I think just that this is the start of it. I think that, this has been absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the city. I've enjoyed the people of the city, the visitors that we've had come through.
Who would have thought we had so many?
Not me, because none of them were my mates. They're all yours. So I think that, from that point of view, we're leaving here on a high for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just always grateful that we're on this journey together, and that we continue to look forward and beyond, looking at just ourselves. Because I think if you go and live somewhere else, it's not just about
you and your bubble.
You and your bubble, yeah. So.
I think my biggest, highest of highs is from the past 10 months, I feel like we can do anything we want.
Mm.
And I think that has directly come from choosing to move, choosing this place, choosing all of the experiences, even when they felt like lows, to culminate in what feels like a lot of confidence for me. And I don't, it's even things like, well, sure, public transportation, I know how to work with that, even if I'm in a new place, right?
Apart from buses.
I don't love the bus. Yeah. Anyway, I could get on a bus, though.
Might be going the wrong way, but you can get on a bus.
I do feel like it's logistical things like that, traveling the way we have, experiencing how to get somewhere without a car, navigating around a country that is not your own language, interacting with people when you're probably going to look like a crazy person or look like a fool because you don't know how to speak their language, but you're trying. All of these things, it's like it strengthens your confidence muscle. Mm. And once you start doing that, it becomes kind of addictive because you're
you want to impress them and also impress yourself.
Not even that. I just want to go do. I just I feel like we can go and do whatever we want. Tavira's next. That's great. Mm-hmm. But there's a confidence that I've always had with you. That's why I married you.
Right.
Now there's a confidence more so about what this life will look like.
Yeah.
Because the world could be at our fingertips, and I'm not intimidated by it anymore.
I don't think, I mean, again, it's a much, much bigger conversation than this one, but the world is small.
Yeah.
And that is, and again, ultimately the only reason that we are committed to Portugal and, for the next whatever years is with Charlotte here.
Yeah.
And I think once that changes, is that going to change how we look at our highs and where we're going to get our highs from then?
Yeah.
And that may be different continents and further afield.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm really, really happy with what we chose, why we chose it, the results that we've had from it, the good, the bad, the uglies, and, long may it continue.
Everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of your fear.
Yeah.
And that is literally we pushed through that. We've gotten here. We've experienced the first 10 months of this, and I'm not fearful anymore.
No.
I'm just what's the next experience?
I don't think you should ever have any fear of that. I think the biggest fear is not doing something that you believe that you want.
Regret.
Right. So that's where I come at.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
There we go.
Well, thank you guys so much. What a chat.
What a one.
See? Cheers.
Cheers.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in. Send us some questions if you have questions, either on TikTok, Instagram, here if you're looking at YouTube, or right on the Spotify or Apple page for podcasts.
Yep.
Because we're going to do another FAQ probably in the next month or so. But we'll see you next week for our final episode about Porto before we leave for the Algarve.
Yep.
We're still going to talk about Porto. I'm sorry. We're still going to be talking about Porto for
I think it's probably going to be, how do you compare Tavira with Porto?
That'll be a quick conversation. They're nothing alike.
Yeah, so they're completely different. Good standards. Okay.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks very much indeed. Take care and have fun. Oh, I like that sound.
Listen up, future expats. For more content about our move, the visa process, Portuguese culture and destinations, and tons of support resources for your own decisions and potential move abroad, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Portugal Junkies.
Stay in touch and help us reach more people by subscribing here and following us there.
Cheers, y'all!